All right, we're back here on Radio Row in New York. Seattle Seahawks going up against the Denver Broncos inside the Sheraton at Radio Row. And we're joined by a familiar friend of the program, works with Finsider, is wearing that Super Bowl ring, and it's bright into my eyes right now. I can barely even see, and that's Sam Madison. Sam, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing well, man. This is year 3 for us, man. We've been going strong for the last couple of years. So it's awesome to be here in New York. You know, when you talk about Super Bowl, the last couple, we've been in some situations to where you didn't have to worry about the weather, the climates, and everything. But the New Yorkers, they're used to it. Just outside fans, they just have to really adjust to the cold weather. But I'm ready for it, and this city is prepared as well. We had Otis Anderson on with us from the Giants, and he's on the host committee, and he was pushing hard, and he was able to get it here in New York.
I saw you came over to us before, and you had to go run somewhere, and you came right back.
Hey,
and
man,
you're always on the air
man.
with us, so that's all that matters. But you were wearing a Mets hat last time. Now you're not. Are you a Mets fan?
Yeah, well, you know, when growing up in South Florida, I used to go to Tampa a lot. So when you go back and you look, Darryl Strawberry and all of those guys, they would come back to Tampa in my uncle's and aunt's neighborhood, and they would bring us gifts all the time, like hats and shirts and all of those different things. So that's how I really became a Mets fan. You know, I'm in Miami. I'm a Miami Marlin, and all the teams that I really like, they're in the same conference. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan because I was a Dale Murphy fan all for a number of years. So for me, baseball has always been in my blood. I didn't really start playing tackle football until I got into 9th grade. All I did was travel baseball a lot. So yeah, and so having Darryl play and win championships up here in New York, man, that's how I became a Mets fan.
How's your son playing football? I remember last time you were on with us, he was playing with Jason Taylor's son. Was that right?
Yeah, man. They were actually they were playing against each other, but he just finished his 2nd year of tackle football. He's 10. He'll be 11 in June, and he's going into his 3rd year, man. He's getting better. You know, I didn't really want to push him too hard, but you know I'm lying, right?
Yeah, we all know that.
But yeah, man. But they've gotten a whole lot better. This year they won 9 games, and they lost 2 of the games to a team that has not lost a game in like the last 6 years. So to be on the field and on the stage with those youth kids down there, it's really tough to be successful down there. But he's getting better, man. I'm happy for him, and he's enjoying it.
Are you one of those parents that sit there and yell and go all crazy at these games? Because when my father used to watch me play basketball and football, he'd be going nuts and always running at the refs.
Well, I'm on the field, so I'm doing a little bit of both.
Oh, you're coaching?
Yeah, I'm coaching. So I'm like the assistant coach. I work with the developmental kids, Rondé Gaston, guy that I played with the Dolphins for a number of years, as well as running back from the University of Miami and played at the Kansas City Chief and Darnell Bennett. You know, those are some guys that run the offense. So I'm the assistant coach, where I try to get guys, you know, to do things that they really don't want to do majority of the time, but really just try to help them out, because our park is one of those parks to where, you know, we don't have all the biggest talent, and we have to develop our kids. So you might as well say I'm the developmental coach, but it's fun. And the kids, half of our team hasn't played very much, so it's given us a chance to help develop those kids, and hopefully later on down the line they'll be sitting here talking to you because they'll be in the National Football League.
Excellent work that you do coaching those kids, just like you mentioned. And you work for Finsider down in Miami. You played for the Dolphins, and some new evidence came out of the whole Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin mess, and it's very bizarre. What's your whole take on this? Because I can't wrap my head around this whole thing.
Man, like I told people at the beginning, I told everybody, I was like, let's just sit and wait, and let's see exactly what comes out of this, because even me as being a Finsider, and we're in that building, we don't get back there very often with these guys. I mean, we go in there the same amount of time. Every other media outlet goes in there. We get the same hits, but you know, we get those guys to come into our studio, you know, majority than other outlets. So But having the inside scoop, there was really nothing that we can really say. You heard all the different players that were interviewed. They gave all of their interviews to Ted Wells, who was doing the investigation. So, you know, a lot of stuff is eventually going to come out, and don't look for it anytime in the next couple of days. Look for it within a week or so. Let all the NFL, the Super Bowl festivities go past. But, you know, there's a lot of things that's going to come out, and these text messages and phone calls is definitely going to clear up a lot of stuff. But, you know, it hurt a lot of people. It hurt the Miami Dolphins. I think it hurt the fan base because of, you know, the things that were portrayed by their football teams, that they had no idea that this was really going on. So it's going to be a situation to where this situation is going to change drastically the way that all sports, I'm talking about baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, no matter what it is in a professional or amateur setting, the way that they handle you know, the players in that locker room and all the dynamics. So a lot more information that we really have to get to and really see what really happened.
We need to see more information and more specifics.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't want people to really jump the gun.
Yeah, I have no problem where they do some rookie hazing, where they throw someone in a cold tub, tape them to a goalpost.
But then you just can't go overboard.
That's happening for years. But if what Martin is saying is true, it's just one of those things where I sit there and look and say, how can a teammate do that from one person to another? And you've been in many NFL locker rooms. You were with the Giants and the Dolphins. What is life like in the NFL locker room for a rookie?
The life in the NFL locker room as a rookie is hectic. I mean, yet and still, I always tell people this is like throwing, you're being thrown into a lion's den. I mean, because not only are you dealing with all different guys from all walks of life, you're dealing with grown men. You go and you look at the National Football League right now, the players are getting younger and younger. I look at the New York Giants football roster, and there's a kid on there. He's a rookie, and I think he's only like 19 or 20 years old. But there's guys in there 30, 33 with families and all of these different things that's been in there, been doing it for a while. So you have to adjust. And you have to adjust because they're dependent on you. And now, majority of the time, you really have to look at that 25 and below number, so that those guys are really going to make up your football team. So you have to get them adapted and used to what goes on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis, and year-to-year basis, so they understand how to prepare themselves, how to keep their body in shape, and all those different things. But you talked about it. You hit right on it. You know, the hazing, all of it, it's been in the game since the game all started, and it goes all the way back to youth sports. So it's always going to be there. Guys always going to play practical jokes and pranks and all those different things. But there's a place where in a time where you have to draw the line and say, hey, that's you going too far, and then you have to scale it back. So you just got to be able to adjust, man. It's really tough in there, but once you get in there and you start making plays, that's what the veteran players want to see. I know it's going to be a crucial situation in a game to where I need you to dig deep down in your body and your soul and pull out some toughness, because it's going to be a goal line stance, and it's going to give us a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and I need to depend on you. And I know you're going to be there for me, because it's not about it is about one-on-one matchups, but it's a team sport. That's why they have 11 guys on the field, and all 11 have to play together.
We're talking to Sam Madison, Super Bowl champion with the New York Football Giants, live here at Radio Row, Super Bowl 48 in the Sheraton. And when you won your Super Bowl, you were going up against the Patriots, who at the time didn't lose a game at all that season, and they had a prolific passing offense.
72 Dolphins.
And they had a prolific passing offense with Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Dante Stallworth, a lot of similarities between the Pats and the Broncos. How tough is it to prepare for an offense? And you had a lot of success that day with your defense, that what Seattle's going to be doing on Sunday against Denver.
It all is going to come down to both of these defensive line. And you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they've been able to apply pressure to every defensive line that they've played throughout the course of this season. You go to the Denver Broncos, they were already throughout the second half of the season, they started picking it up. And because when you look at Denver and their defense, you know, they rarely played from behind throughout the course of the season, so they really didn't have to blitz a lot. They didn't have to really stack the line because every other team was always chasing. So when you look at the way that the Seattle Seahawks offense plays, you know, they are ground and pound. They are control the clock. That is what Pete Carroll likes to do, but it's going to fall on both defensive line to try to do what the New York Giants did against the New England Patriots, and you always hear it, and it comes back to that football game of getting the quarterback off the spot, and you have to definitely get Peyton Manning off of that spot or he's going to pick you apart. And if they can not blitz either side of the ball, to have to blitz those linebackers or safeties and be able to control it just with the front four, then that is going to be the team that's going to be successful in this football game. And you talked about that Super Bowl 42. We rarely blitz.
All
we
pressure,
really
though.
did was pressure, and it came from the front four.
I expect a lot of press coverage from Seattle's point on.
I don't think so.
Really?
No.
You're the first one that said that all week
I
here.
don't think it's going to be a lot of press coverage because that's not what they do. They're a cover three. They're a cover three scheme. We was talking to Coach Jimmy Johnson, and one of the things that, you know, he talked about when we played, you know, when you're talking about press coverage, where you have an opportunity to gain ground is you need to press at least 85 to 95% of the time, and they're not going to do that. And they didn't have to do it throughout the course of the season because of the way that you know, that defensive line was able to put pressure, and they would just sit back and make those plays. So Denver Broncos, I think what they're going to do, even if they do come up and press, they're going to run stack formation, and they're going to run crossing routes, and they're going to run pick routes. You remember in the game, Wes Welker, Talib Khalib, and he gets injured, and they didn't call that one, but versus the Denver Broncos, when they had the pick play, it was a penalty. So yet and still is all going to fall down to how these referees call this game, and then that is really going to determine the outcome of it.
You're absolutely right, and pass interference is the most inconsistent rule as we're talking to Sam Madison here. Can you interpret the rule for me? Because sometimes you touch him, you barely even touch him, pass interference flag. Sometimes you drag him to the ground, no flags called.
But this is where the names of the defensive backs all of a sudden will take over the game, and the referee is going to know those guys' name. When you go and you look at those pass interference calls, it's always a defensive back that nobody really knows, and nobody really understands who it is. It is a star-studded, you know, when you're out there on the football field, the referees know who you are. I mean, because they have kids, they are watching all these games, and majority of the time when you have a guy like Champ Bailey and you have Antonio Rogers-Cromartie, you have a 12-year veteran in Quentin Jammer, you know, they're going to give those guys those calls because they've been playing for over 12 years and they know who they are and what they can and what they cannot do. So they're going to be less lenient and less opt not to throw that flag because they know how to go up in contact and talk with that defensive back and say, hey, now if the ball was on this side, I would have thrown the flag. So you need to make that adjustment later on in the game so I don't have to make that flag. And, you know, just the physical nature of the way Seattle plays, the referee know that they're a physical football team. They know that they're aggressive. I don't think it's going to be an issue unless it's just, you know, guys are just really just pulling them and pulling them down. So I can't really break pass interference down. It's just
impossible.
It's impossible, and it's going to come down to the way those referees see it.
Two more, and then we'll let you run. Richard Sherman, he's been yapping all week ever since that NFC Championship game.
He's a DB.
But, hey, he backs
DB.
up his play. He always makes a big
There you
play.
go.
What's your take on Richard Sherman?
Man, you said it. I mean, I don't have a problem, and that is part of the National Football League, talking trash. As long as you can back it up.
What's the worst trash talking you've ever done?
Man, every game.
You can't say it on the radio?
I can't say it. I
You're
can't
just like
say it.
Channing Crowder. We had him down in
can't-
Indianapolis, and he said, hey, I can't tell you. You're going to lose your FCC
Yeah,
license.
you're going to lose it, bro. I mean, and then you're in the heat of the moment. You know, I'm playing against a rival football team, the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, the New England Patriots, Indianapolis Colts. Man, I'm trying to do whatever it is to get that person rattled, and that is what Richard Sherman does. But here's the catch to it. The guy make plays. He challenges quarterbacks.
He's the best corner in the league.
He challenges wide receivers. He challenges tight ends, and everybody that he's come up against, he's pretty much done his job. So I don't have a problem with, Richard Sherman really talking. The only problem that I did have, Crabtree is not.
He's not mediocre.
He's not a mediocre wide receiver. You made a play, and if the Seattle Seahawks win this football game, that is going to be the most memorable play in Seattle history because of the magnitude of that play, because that was going to be a touchdown. Crabtree was going to catch that ball, but Richard Sherman knows how to go up and attack the football, and that's what he did to allow the big play.
On the way out here was Sam Madison from Finsider, Super Bowl champion as well, wearing his Super Bowl ring actually now on his right hand. Do you always rock that ring?
We in the city, baby.
Do you always rock it?
Sometimes here.
Friday night you go out. Are you wearing it?
It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very good setting because there are a number of guys I know you've seen guys walking through here with Super Bowl rings all the time. So everybody's not, oh, no, let me see that. Oh, let me see that. When you're out in not in an environment like this, Michael Strahan named this. He named this ring, and he named it 10 tables because he wanted the owners to make a ring so you can see it from 10 tables down. and it
he
really
did a good job. I can barely see that. That ring is blinding me.
It really is true, man. People see it, and they come from 4, 5, 6 tables down like, what kind of ring is that? So it's an attention getter.
I won't try it on, though. I would never try on a giant ring because I'm a Patriot fan. You guys broke my heart that day.
Sorry for your loss.
All right, before we let you run, Champ Bailey, he's an all-time great cornerback. He's looking for his first Super Bowl ring. He would like a 10-table ring. You like his chances on Sunday to get that ring?
Man, I'm going with the Denver Broncos. I'm not afraid to say it. I just think that they have too many weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and I believe they don't have – the Seattle Seahawks, they have a lot of defensive backs. That's their strong suit of that football team. They go from the back end forward. But I think Peyton Manning is going to find those one-on-one matchups, and just because the Seattle haven't been in this position before to have to cover 5 dominant wide receivers that the Denver Broncos have, I think he's going to be able to find those one-on-one matchups and make those guys pay.
Well, Sam, I appreciate a few minutes today. Please don't be a stranger to this show.
Never,
we got to catch up
this
during the regular
years,
season.
Baby. This 3
not,
years
not
running.
just the Super Bowl, brother. I appreciate a few minutes. Best of luck to your son. Let's keep on making some few plays, and let's even get him trash talking a little bit.
Believe me, he's already doing it, and he's dancing. So I have to tone it down a little bit.
Takes after his old man?
Yeah, he does.